Hello, planet. This is Ken Ray. Stand by for news. That's for that guy on YouTube.
This is Mac OS Ken.
Still studying iPhone 15 pre-orders. Don't worry about your iPhone battery yet. And more Apple history hits the auction block. It is Wednesday, the 20th of September, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Go to greenchef.com/60MOK and use code 60MOK for 60% off plus free shipping. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Here is a headline from an Apple 3.0 post. iPhone 15 Pro lead time suggests demand outpacing supply. It sounds profound until you realize that if Apple made 10 iPhones and 15 people tried to order them, demand would be outpacing supply. Luckily, the note from Goldman Sachs analyst Michael Ng is a bit more informative. Though Apple 3.0 only got that note on Tuesday, I'm pretty sure it's the same note AppleInsider was working from on Monday. The Tuesday post pulls different parts, though. While Ng is encouraged by the wait times for units at the Pro end of the line, he and his recognize that there is little transparency into supply, which could be impacted by potential supply chain constraints, particularly in the Pro Max. He is turned on by carrier promotions here in the States, though there is a tiny bit of worry in that part of the note. The analyst points out that the most attractive promotions require customers to have or upgrade to some of the carrier's newer, more expensive plans. Mostly, though, it's cool in the gang. Goldman Sachs still has a buy rating on Apple shares. The firm's price target on the shares was $222 last I heard. Word from Goldman Sachs was and is that the longest wait times for iPhones are being experienced in China. Backing that up is a piece from the South China Morning Post. Referring to the new iPhone line as warmly received, SCMP has a few crazy-sounding data points. Picking from those, Apple's site for ordering iPhones in China crashed in the first 10 minutes of pre-orders last week. Pre-orders for iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro Max through the official Apple Store on Tmall were sold out in under a minute. The piece has a Tmall manager indicating that his site had to replenish stock 9 times in under 30 minutes, with iPhone 15 Pro Max selling the fastest. And info posted on Chinese online supplier JD.com indicated more than 3 million pre-orders had been placed through its site for all 4 iPhone 15 models by the start of this week. Now, some surprising players are also getting in on the iPhone action. The South China Morning Post has a couple of food delivery services partnering with thousands of Apple-authorized resellers across China. One of those is said to have processed iPhone 15 orders worth 200 million yuan. That's about $27.5 million US in the first half hour of availability. Warmly received. If you updated to iOS 17 on Monday and your battery took a hit on Tuesday, do not freak out. This is normal behavior according to AppleInsider, and everything should stabilize within a week. What's going on? Well, the piece says off the bat, Spotlight has to re-index all of the files on the iPhone. It needs to know where everything is to work as quickly as one would like. But it takes a while to be quick. The report says re-indexing all files on a device can take time, potentially a few days. During this time, users may find their iPhones running a bit slow for searches and other tasks, and their battery may be consumed at a faster rate than normal. If after a week or so the battery is still not holding its own, then AppleInsider suggests contacting Apple. Of course, you may just be caught in the slowness. The piece says that slower performance and faster battery drain may be down to a combination of new features and the age of the iPhone running the operating system. See also old Macs and new software, old iPads and new software, and any aging tech running brand new software. Apple has updated some of its video apps ahead of the arrival of iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. Another piece from AppleInsider says iMovie, Final Cut Pro, and a couple of Final Cut add-ons all saw updates this week, adding support for the log-encoded video shot on the iPhone 15 Pro to the video editing suite. All of the titles also come with other enhancements and bug fixes, according to Apple. So, if you use them, you'll want to update. And if you don't use them, you don't really care. One more update about which to tell you for a slightly older iPhone. Emphasis on the slightly, and update might not be the right word. Downgrade might be a better one. Remember last year when the self-repair people at iFixit gave iPhone 14 a glowing 7 out of 10 in terms of repairability? A piece from Engadget says a year later, they've changed their minds. What they liked last year was how easy the consumer models were to take apart and put back together. That is a repairability model that's made its way to the pro end of this year's iPhones. What iFixit doesn't like is everything else. According to Engadget, iFixit says Apple's code purposefully limits repair options for most tasks. They don't like that parts have to be purchased from Apple, and they don't like that repairs have to be validated by a proprietary chat system that requires personal information from the consumer. They do applaud Apple for making an improvement over the status quo by selling replacement parts, according to Engadget, but they still think it's lame. How lame? They bounced their rating from last year's 7 out of 10 down to a 4 out of 10. Engadget says that puts it in a do not recommend category for people wanting to fix it themselves. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Green Chef. If you tried HelloFresh, this is kind of like that, but different. Green Chef is now owned by HelloFresh, bringing you a bigger selection of meal plans from which to choose. Let me tell you about one of my recent Green Chef meals, spicy chili ginger chicken kale salad, full of things that I do not like dried shiitake mushrooms, carrots, and cabbage. But hit them with kale, toasted almonds, a truly tasty chicken cutlet, and an amazing ginger lime dressing, and every bite was amazing. Even the bites with the carrots. Green Chef has 8 meal preferences from which to choose, including quick and easy, calorie smart, delicious discoveries, and more. Their recipes feature certified organic fruits and vegetables, organic cage-free eggs, and sustainably sourced seafood. And if you're not sure where to start, every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. Go to greenchef.com/60MOK and use code 60MOK to get 60% off plus free shipping. That's greenchef.com/60MOK and use code 60MOK to get 60% off plus free shipping. Every bite I've had from Green Chef has been delicious. Try them for yourself. Use code 60MOK to get 60% off plus free shipping at greenchef.com/60MOK. The Double Plus Happy headline from Cult of Mac says, Mac sits at the top of the chart for consumer satisfaction. The less celebratory headline from 9 to 5 Mac, Apple loses 20-year title as sole winner of the American Satisfaction Index. Amazingly, they are talking about the same thing. Cult of Mac says people are more happy with their Mac than the users of almost any other type of computer. That's according to data from the 2022-23 American Customer Satisfaction Index, which reports that Apple is tops in user satisfaction for personal computers with an ACSI score of 83 out of 100. Can you be said to be on top when you share the podium, though? 9 to 5 Mac thinks not. Doesn't think so. After Apple has been the sole winner of the personal computer category for 20 years straight, says that site, this year a rival has caught up and forced a tie. I know the suspense is killing you. It's Samsung. Samsung has caught up to Apple in terms of personal computer satisfaction, according to ACSI. Running down the list, Apple had a score of 83, up 1 point from last year. Samsung also had a score of 83, up 2 points from last year. Dell had a score of 81, up 3 points year on year. HP also had a score of 81, up 4 points from 2022. Everybody else, Acer, Amazon, Asus, and Lenovo all had scores of 78. Each fell 1 point. The big beige box of others also had a score of 78, representing a 1 point rise. Does Samsung tying Apple mean it's curtains for the Mac? Amazingly, the Mac has very little to do with it. According to ACSI, Samsung's strong overall performance is boosted by surging customer satisfaction with its tablet offerings. While tablet satisfaction at the aggregate level falls this year, Samsung improved 6% to a score of 85. Okay, I know tablets are computers, but I thought we were talking about computers. It's kind of annoying. Speaking of computers, Apple's 2023 M2 Ultra Mac Pro is at the Refurbished store, with several configurations from which to choose in both the rack-mounted and standy-uppy models. A piece from Mac Rumors says would-be buyers are looking at prices between $1,000 and $1,500 below the price for brand new in most cases. And finally today, if you want a small Apple history collection and have a lot of dosh to drop, has RR Auction got an auction for you? The question was rhetorical. The answer is yes. iLounge pointed me to the latest lots up for bids, working backwards from least cool to how is that still out there? They got a first-generation sealed 8GB iPhone with gift packaging. It's expected to go for $20,000. Bids currently sit at $11,000. Harder to get is the first-generation sealed 4GB iPhone. That's expected to go for $20,000. Bids currently set at about $19,500, so I think it might make it. Strangely, they are selling an iPad signed by Steve Jobs and given as a personal gift. None of that's the strange part. The strange part is why they're expecting to get less for that than the crappy iPhone nobody wanted. They expected that to go for $10,000. Bids have already passed it, sitting at about $13,000. And finally, there's a check signed by Steve Jobs just a few months after Apple started being a thing, made out to Graphics West for $33.92 on the 9th of July, 1976. It has gone up in value. The auction house is looking for it to bring in $25,000. Bidding currently sits at just under $23,000. The online portion of the auction runs through this Friday, the 22nd of September. Live bidding is set for Saturday, the 23rd. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Go to greenchef.com/60MOK and use code 60MOK for 60% off plus free shipping. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.